to a group of women in faith communities. This is my counseling department, Houston Christian University. My course is 5317 multi-role counseling with the Dr. Mark Crear. Gender violence in faith communities. Evangelical churches, as part of society, are not exempt from the social problem of gender violence. There are two aspects that are considered fundamental in relation to this issue in faith communities. On the one hand, we are not exempt because people in the church can suffer this type of violence in their homes, at work, and in a different situation of daily life. But on the other hand, this problem is also present in the discourse of those who lead faith communities. Some faith communities act as facilitators of violence without this necessarily being intentional. Patriarchy is a predominant ideological discourse in some evangelical churches. Women must conform to the treatment of men and submit to their authority. Such attitudes are justified as biblical and in accordance with the will of God. Microaggressions within the group of women in faith communities. There is thought about patriarchy that exists within the church, but very little is said about the microaggressions that exist among women themselves within faith communities. A minister of women's activity that I attend told me dress is always a problematic issue for women who are leaders within the church because there will always be a woman who has something to say to you based on on what you are wearing, and this creates a sense of inferiority and many times does not make one want to continue working for the work of God. Microaggressions can be defined as brief, everyday exchange that send denigrating message to a target group, such as people of color, religious minorities, women, people with disabilities, and gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender individuals. Historical current oppression. One of the most important but least studied problems is the origins of the women's oppression. Although it is true that European and North American feminists have opened a road of search with creative working hypotheses, it has not yet been possible to prove the origin of female oppression with irrefutable evidence. In Latin America, studies are not even in their infancy. Since the most remote times of human culture, the subordination of women to men has always been manifested. This phenomenon has not been limited only to conceiving female inferiority, but has transcended the boundaries of the rational, to the point of even manifesting itself through aggressive behaviors, which accredited by patriarchy and later ratified by subsequent societies, make up the already historical and universal gender violence. Nowadays, many women wake up every day in a world that discriminates against them simply because of their gender. But the most turbulent aspect of this oppression is that it is often to the church that leads it. Many believers have developed theology that proactively uses the Bible to disqualify women from senior leadership roles, especially in the church. Each one has a shoe. Was the event I attended. 3 years ago, Pastor Minaris Carrasquillo created the largest women's congress in all of Puerto Rico. It is an event attended by sacred music singers, Christian and non-Christian women, and from our Christian denomination. The congress is held for all types of women and is an inclusive and non-inclusive Congress. In this event, women are motivated to empowered by God to assert the authority, talents, and gifts that God has given them. The first thing that I learned and that I liked about the event is that it teaches women that we are all different and unique before God, that no matter origin or culture, or even our way of being or dressing, it does not mean that each one of us has the same value for God and for ourselves. The second thing I learned is that you don't need to be recognizing to create an event that moves thousands of women. You just need to believe in yourself and what you can give. And the third thing I learned is that no matter how much the church does to make a woman feel inferior, women have God as their back, and He is the one uses them His instrument and give them the value that they deserve, and that our oppression towards the woman she was carried by Jesus on the cross of Calvary. These three learned elements are important for culture because they created a change in the sense of the inferiority of women in the churches. They promote the fact that leaders who do not support women's ministry are being disobedient to the voice of God, because God created women with the beautiful purpose, just like men, and did not make women to remain silent and not share with the world everything it can offer. Counseling theory is applicable to the cultural group of women. The form of application of the counseling modality varies depending on the theoretical model to which it is ascribed. It is discipline that has broad theoretical and empirical base, which is supported by several theoretical models. The theoretical models begin with psychodynamic theories with an introspective perspective around the visualization of the problems faced by human beings. Then the behavioral theory made its way, and later the cognitive behavioral theory, with its emphasis on information processing and the cognitive affective part when accessing feelings. Later came humanism, which pointed out of the importance of the person, what the feels or suffers, and how facilitate conditions expressed by the counselor could mean the possibility of change. In addition of these three traditional paradigms, there are multicultural, systemic, or family approaches, brief therapy, and constructive humanism, as well as interrogative proposals that allow various options to be interrelated depending on the needs of each case, with the general vision of person-centered care. There is no specific theory that we can choose to work with the cultural group of women. It is rather a matter of each individual woman and the problem or situation that that woman has. My reflection. Emotionally attending this event had a great impact on my life. Because in my personal life, I have been victim of microaggressions and gender discrimination for being married to the pastor of the church. Being a pastor for many is a role that I should not have. No matter what I do, how I do, and how I do it or why I do it, I will always receive microaggressions towards me, but in this event, I learned not to accept them. I will not stop being who I am simply because another woman or man doesn't like the fact that the way I am is different from theirs. God wants me to be happy, and I decided to be. I just hope that many women who attend the church and are victims of the same thing that I have experienced can free themselves and understand that they also have a voice and God validates that voice. And this is my references. Thank you so much for the attention.